Hello, ladies and gentlemen. And I mean that very seriously. Ladies and gentlemen, we behave like ladies and gentlemen out there. And we are ladies and gentlemen. I guess the two of us. I don't consider well, they're, okay, I'm not getting into politics. But this is the Dave Emmons Strange Reality Show. And I come to you about twice a week. And Facebook people have been very nice to me. And thank you so much, all my Facebook followers and people who watch the shows. I'm building on other platforms. Matter of fact, I'm going to join another network pretty soon. I'm on one other network now, but I'm going to have a show on, I won't say right now, but it's going to be, I'll be working on another network, a show, a night or two, but I'll try to stick with the Facebook crew here with a show probably once a week, and then do the other shows on the other network. But I will be around. You won't be getting rid of this ugly face very soon. So just hang on. Just, just hang on for a little bit. My guest tonight, speaking well, and he's just the opposite. He's a better looking guy than I am, and younger guy than I am. So we'll have a good one tonight. And my guest tonight on the Strange Reality Show is David Altman. Altman has worked and lived in Hollywood for over 20 years in music, film, and TV, and currently does production and development work for different networks and production companies on the topics of UFOs, paranormal, and more. David has been involved with projects for Steven Spielberg. Wow, great. J.J. Abrams, another one, and many others. He also appeared in the film A Tear in the Sky. And I want to introduce David Altman to you right now. David, say hi to the folks and tell us a little bit about yourself that wasn't covered in that brief bio.
Hey, how's it going, Dave? So it's Dave squared tonight.
Yeah,
It's the Dave and Dave show.
right. And,
Yeah.
yeah,
So how often growing up did you hear Davy Crockett or
yeah.
Dave's not here or all the
Well,
Dave jokes?
I've lived long enough to almost know Davy Crockett.
Yeah, he was my neighbor.
Yeah, right.
I'm older than I look. Trust me, I'm older than I look. Um,
You don't use any of that dark and lovely, do you?
no, not yet. I'm
Okay.
getting there. I'm getting the gray in the beard,
Yeah. Okay.
little bit there.
Yeah.
But it's only there, nowhere else.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell anybody about my dark and lovely habits. If I do it, my wife makes me do it. That's what
Uh-oh.
yeah, she wants me to, to stay a little bit up on things. And, but I'm not, you can't see too much of my hair now, but I'm kind of gray. I will.
Yeah, see, I'm not married. I don't have those problems.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
well, I don't mind, I think it lasts about 6 weeks once you hit it with that dark and lovely, it'll last about 6 weeks. And, but mine lasts one time for 3 months. I just let it go. But,
Nice.
that's, well, I don't know why I do it. I guess she says, well, I want you to do it because, it makes me feel good, she says. I said, okay. But you can't fix ugly. You can color their hair.
Yeah. That's lovely.
I wish we can fix the age. Well, David, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like I said, that wasn't covered in this brief bio, and I know we're going to wing it tonight.
Yeah,
We both have been down those roads of ETs and UFOs, and
sure.
you've been in producing and everything. And we'll have to get in talking about Spielberg and J.J. Abrams. Man, I'd like to hear some of those experiences too. But tell us a little bit about what's going on with you now and what you're doing, David.
So, what would you like to hear? Would you like to hear like how I got up into all this stuff or what
Yeah,
I'm Yeah, okay.
very beginning.
Um so my parents got divorced when I was about 7, 8 years old, and my mom and I went to live with my grandmother and my grandfather. And my grandmother was the head librarian at the public library in the town we went to live in, and my mom had to go back to work, to start making money for us so we can go and get our own place and whatever.
Right.
So after school, she would be working, and I would just get dropped off at the library where my grandmother was, and my grandmother would just sit me right in front of the monster books because I was a big monster fan.
Right.
Universal monsters like Dracula,
Right.
Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and
Yeah.
after I read all those books, the next dial over was Bigfoot, the Loch Ness monster, and UFOs and aliens, and that's when I got into all this stuff. I grew up on Saturday morning cartoons and all the late night horror movies and sci-fi movies. My mom loved sci-fi movies, and it just kind of came natural to me that's just the stuff I grew up with. You
I
know,
Yeah, I did the same when I was older. They'd have a movie every night, every Saturday night, that is called Spook Spectacular.
everybody back had that. I had like Chiller Theater on
Yeah.
Channel 11 in New York.
Uh-huh. But
Yeah,
some
I
of
mean,
it.
obviously, I'm wearing a Star Wars hat and I've got a Boba Fett tattoo, so obviously,
Oh,
I'm into
okay.
sci-fi. you
Did,
know,
did Steven Spielberg give you that hat?
no,
Or
I wish, right? No, my sister did for my birthday. Steven Spielberg didn't do Star
Oh,
Wars.
yeah, that's right.
George Lucas,
Okay.
but it's you're kind of close because they did work together, on like Raiders of the Lost Ark and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't ever too much of a Trekkie. I would watch it occasionally, but
Nope, that's Star Trek. This is
yeah,
Star Wars.
that's Star Wars. Oh man, you're correct.
But
You love
but
tonight. That's a,
Roddenberry has a very big connection to ufology. Very big connection.
really.
It's a big rabbit hole. It has a lot to do with the CIA and Andrei Puharich, who was involved with the remote viewing program, and Yuri Geller,
Oh, okay.
and the Blue Bloods, families with the DuPonts. They had a group called the Nine, and it was like I said, it was the top of the top family members of the families like the DuPonts, the Rockefellers, those
Hmm.
type of people, and they were pretty much having seances. And Andrei Puharich, who I don't know, have you ever heard of Kit Green and Hal Puthoff?
No, I have not those
So
two.
they were the founding members of the remote viewing program for the CIA,
Hmm.
right? So this is when the CIA first started working with psychics, and Andrei Puharich was the first guy that the CIA actually started playing with this stuff with. So he would have these private group sessions that were pretty much seances with these family members of these high society families,
Hmm.
these blue bloods, and they claimed that they were contacting pretty much aliens, and these aliens called them. There were 9 of them, and they were supposed to be in a ship up. I think it was up by Saturn, and they were claiming that these aliens were picking 9 people on Earth to be like the emissaries,
Okay.
representatives,
Okay.
and they called themselves the Galactic Federation.
Oh, okay. That's where the name comes.
And that's where all the Galactic Federation comes from, is
Yeah.
from that. So, which kind of makes me laugh when people say, "Oh, I've met the Galactic Federation and the Galactic Federation this," because I'm thinking this all this is where this all came from.
Hmm.
And Gene Roddenberry happened to be sitting. He knew these people, and he happened to sit on one of these meetings, and that's where he first heard the Galactic Federation, and he put it into Star Trek. And if you go back, and there's actually an episode of Star Trek he wrote that portrays a group of aliens called the Nine. That is he got from. It's actually based on reality,
Hmm.
allegedly. Yeah,
Now, those are the top people in the world, the wealthiest people, and
correct,
they control the puppet strings.
correct.
And everybody under them, like political leaders and bankers, and all of them were under the
And
spell.
supposedly till this day.
Yes, yes. Till this day, and there's several secret organizations
And
associated.
then you got to follow up with in the 90s that we had the Rockefeller Initiative with
Right.
Hillary Clinton. They had that private group that was meeting,
Hmm.
when Bill Clinton said that he wanted to find out the 2 things, who killed Kennedy and what happened at Roswell. And Stephen Bassett and all them, they had, I know Christopher O'Brien was there and Bigelow. They had this group meeting, and here we go again. It
Hmm.
just happens again.
Right. And you worked with some of these big producers, J.J. Abrams.
I mean, I worked for them. I never met them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Everything's departmentalized, almost like top
Yeah.
secret.
Yeah. I mean, not really, when you work for production companies like that, it's usually, it's Amblin Entertainment, which is owned by Steven Spielberg. But the company I was directly involved with was a smaller company, which was attached.
Mhm. Okay. Now
Yeah.
you have a couple of projects coming up. You have you have a trailer that we're going to try to
Yeah,
show.
it's actually the show's out now.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and try to show that through the linkage
Yeah.
instead of the going directly to, to anything. But we'll see how this turns out. I'm going to do it this way, on a manual way, and we're going to go on here. Let me see if I can get that. I couldn't stop it right where the message that started with your
I can send it to you now, so it'll be right there.
no, it's all right. I'm gonna
Oh,
look
okay.
here real quick.
Yeah.
Uh let's see. Here, I think it's right here. Let's try this.
Hey everyone, big heads up. Paleo Valley's running a sale on all their meat sticks right now. You can get 30 sticks for 36 bucks.
Commercial.
Well,
Skip.
guys, welcome back to
Okay.
Disclosure Team with me,
This
your
is-
host, Vinny Adam.
Nope.
This is
Following-
That's my interview.
Yeah,
David Altman.
that's your
David
your
has worked.
internet channel there. But we'll try to go to. I mean, yeah. Let's try to do.
I can send it to you right now,
Okay.
so you have it.
Okay.
At least we're not live. You can edit it.
No, I'm not very good at editing either, but we'll.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hang on. Sorry, everyone. There you go. It's
Okay.
right there.
Here we go.
So Disclosure Team got a shout out.
I was abducted by aliens 7 times since 1984.
Why don't you pause it till you get it on the screen?
Everyone has a story, and this is the town that UFOs built. I'm here to listen to firsthand accounts, consider the evidence. Oh my God. At that point, I'll render a verdict.
I'm a journalist. I'm an investigator. The most important thing to me is facts.
We have a piece of material evidence.
Our whole house lit up. I just unfortunately can't say this is a UFO.
I feel like it's simple. I believe the data is wrong.
You can't figure it out?
Yes, know what it was. There's no question to me that you experienced the UFO.
Don't worry about it then. Don't worry about it.
You never know who's going to walk through the front door in Roswell, New Mexico.
It's all right.
Okay. What you couldn't see it or hear it?
No, I could hear it. You just can't see it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably because of the linkage with the YouTube, in which a lot of times it's locked out. I don't know how.
I've never had that problem before. It's
Really?
okay. Don't worry about it. We could talk about it.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and follow up on a discussion about this trailer.
Yeah. So the show is called Alien Encounters Fact or Fiction, and it already played on Discovery Channel, 7 episodes, but right now it's on Max. So they're all there, and actually September 7th on Max they're playing. I'm sorry, September 7th on Discovery Channel they're playing a 24-hour marathon. And soon it's also going to be on Discovery Plus, and I believe it's on Amazon Prime, and it's also on YouTube. You can buy episodes as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So the show, we filmed it at the Variety Bar in Roswell, New Mexico. The premise, the idea of the show was going to be because the Variety Bar, it's the only bar in Roswell. And it's very well known for people that just, they walk in there. A lot of people go to Roswell just for UFOs and to tell their stories. And this is a very common place. It's a watering hole. People just walk in off the streets. Usually they're there visiting or they're on vacation, and they want to tell their UFO stories. So we thought, well, what if we went in there and set up cameras and let people tell their stories, and we film them? That was the first idea for the show.
Right.
And that's what we started with. Then the network said, no, let's change it. Let's do it where they actually have evidence, either physical evidence or video evidence, or it could be like medical records or whatever. So then I had to like scramble and like find this evidence,
Right.
find people with evidence. So I made some calls and I got some help from some great people like Philip Mantle, like Tom Reed, Frank Kimbler, Timothy Renner. You know, they reached out to people that they knew, and I ended up finding some people with some fascinating evidence. Some of the stuff that came back was actually from Roswell debris, and they sent it out to get tested, and it came back anomalous. It came back pure aluminum, purest aluminum that you can't find anywhere on Earth. You know, and it was found where at an alleged crash site.
Yeah. Now there wasn't any other compounds in that aluminum.
Nothing. No alloy. Yeah,
Wow.
no alloy.
Someone said there was about 10% some other type of metal involved with it. Another.
Nope, not this. Nope. And they don't make that here. They don't make pure aluminum.
Yeah. Okay.
The other one was do you what's that?
You were interviewing, I guess. Did you run into any of the older folk that were around back in those days, or
There's nobody around anymore.
yeah, that's kind of figured most of them were younger and had.
They're all, no, the youngest was what was her name? Frankie May? No, was it Frankie May? Or am I thinking of, or is that Flatwoods? I think her name was Frankie. I might have the wrong name. Yeah, she was the youngest, and that was the firefighter's daughter. She passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay.
But then we had, I don't know if you remember the Needles, California crash that happened about 10 years ago.
I've heard about that. Yes.
Yeah. So my friend Emmett, him and his brother, Emmett and Joe, they go by the UFO brothers. They went up there and they found, as far as I know, the biggest piece of metamaterial ever found by somebody publicly, and it's pure aluminum again, and it's about this big.
Wow.
That big.
Okay.
Yeah, and that came back, and it's all tested and by people with from ATIP.
Yeah. Now they had a documentary on that where I guess the black helicopters were involved in tracking this thing down.
From Needles.
Yeah.
George Knapp recently did a story on it too, where they went back and they interviewed the guys on the boats and everything, and yeah, they were really freaked out.
Yeah, but no, you think that the military picked that craft up and the bodies and took them away? I guess.
I mean, who knows, man? I mean, it's all speculation. For all I know, it could be sitting under the water. I don't know.
Wow. Needles. There's a lake there around Needles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That rings a bell. I don't know the name of that. Not Lake Havasu, is it?
No, I think it's Needles. I think it's. Let me see. I'll tell you right now.
Okay. Yeah. But it crashed into the water.
Or near the water.
Okay. Possibly shot down, because I think our military has a way of now
could be
downing UFOs. They do it with some kind of radar frequency. They mess up the crafts. I guess.
Yeah, I think it's just Needles Lake. Yeah, I don't know.
Lake Havasu is probably in Nevada.
That's Arizona.
It's Arizona. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on the border of California. That's what I was thinking. I guess that's what brought me there. Okay. Now you interviewed these people. What are some?
Well, not me personally. Oh. Well, I guess I did off camera. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What did you hear that really, put the flags up around your head and say, "Oh, wow, this is something neat"? David, did you hear something that really perked you up?
Okay, so there were a few things, and this is where I kind of take the good with the bad. So there were people, and I've said this before during interviews. I'm not going to name names. That a lot of people in the UFO community, if they did hear their names, would recognize that I wanted to get on the show, that were publicly even saying in interviews, I have evidence like medical records or whatever. I have an implant or I have this or that I want to get tested, but I can't afford it. I would love for someone to pay for this for me to get tested. Mm-hmm. Where I call them and I get them on the phone. Here's your opportunity. Come on the show. and we'll get this tested for you. And they'd be like, oh, great. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Okay, well, we're going to do a follow-up call next week. And next week I'd call, never hear from them again. They never answer their phone.
Mm.
So to me, I'm thinking, are they full of crap? Or is someone telling them, don't do it? Could it be a family member telling them, we don't want you to be ridiculed? So there was one person in particular who I really wanted on the show. They had a crazy story, like the people they said that they were connected to were people that I was like, wow, this has got to be told. And that was one of those people that unfortunately I never heard from again.
It's strange on Netflix. My wife and I was watching this series. There's 4 human young people, and they were aliens from the Roswell crash. And the government had them stored away somewhere, and they all got out, and they're humans, and they're running around.
Roswell.
Yeah, it's called Roswell.
Yeah, I know the show.
Yeah, and we watched that, and I thought, wow, there's a lot of similarities in the story that's going on. But the aliens that in Roswell, they were all dead, from what I understand. There wasn't any of them alive except for one, I think, was alive for a little while.
Right, allegedly.
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. There was only just one alive for a
right.
But yeah, I've been in Roswell myself. I just visited, walked around town. I went to the hangar where this UFO was at. I walked around in there, and there's an aeronautics company in there. They sell spare parts for airplanes and things. They have a bunch of it's a scrapyard for airplanes now. And I walked around in there, and I saw several people. They never asked me what I was doing in there.
Yeah, they're probably used to it.
Yeah, they're probably used to it. And I just looked around where it was at, and they have a bunch of airplane parts and tools and things of that nature where this hangar was based at. So I kind of missed it. I thought, oh, this ain't nostalgic, not at all.
Right.
And David, you walked around Roswell, and
I've never been to Roswell. I've only driven through. I wasn't there for filming.
Oh, okay. I got it all wrong. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's what I'm saying. I didn't interview. Yeah, I cast the host, but I wasn't the host or anything. I wasn't down there.
Yeah. Okay. I guess you were involved in the developing and producing of the film. And
correct. Yeah, I did everything remotely.
Okay. Well, that's how they can do things nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about what you did in Hollywood. In these studios and production studios, and you said you were working on UFO films and that type of thing. Is that what you were doing, David?
What do you mean before this?
Yeah.
So actually, I was in the music business for a long time. I worked for different record companies, and I managed bands, and I was also a tour manager for bands.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I still kind of am. Have you ever heard of the actor Corey Feldman?
Yes.
Yeah, he's like one of my best friends.
Okay.
So I still occasionally tour manage his band. He's an actor and a musician. And I tour manage bands like Newfound Glory and some other popular bands. But I kind of stopped doing that. I'm getting too old, to be running around doing that stuff.
Yeah.
I was also an agent for celebrities. I booked them on Comic-Cons all over the world, internationally. Yeah, but I kind of stopped doing that stuff, traveling, and I've been focusing on this. I kind of fell into this. I never meant to do this. I kind of. You want me to tell that story of how I ended up doing this?
I want to take you back to how you got involved in this. But take us to the second step. How did you get involved in UFOs and ETs, David? Yeah.
Well, I told you that for my grandmother.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'll tell you how I got into this. Okay. So I was booking Comic-Cons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a business partner at the agency, and she says, "Oh, hey, one of our clients has a friend, and he's got a new TV show, and he might be good for UFO conventions." And I was like, "What? UFO conventions? I want to meet this guy. Who is it?" Because she knew I was into UFOs.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, he's got a new show coming out. He's a writer. He's got some show called Project Blue Book." And I was like, "What? Project Blue Book?" And she's like, "Yeah, a few of our clients are on this show, and he's the writer." So she's like, "His name's David O'Leary." And I was like, wow. So I met David and we became friends, and I ended up booking him on a UFO convention out in Laughlin in 2012, I think. Or no, I'm sorry, 2018, 2019, something like that, around that time, 2018, 2019. It was when the Nimitz guys first came out from the USS Nimitz, Kevin Day and them. Right.
Right.
So I flew out with him to Vegas to the convention, and that's when I first met George Knapp and Rick Doty and Jeremy Corbell, and I met all the Nimitz guys. And I first met David O'Leary. So David, Kevin Day, and I went outside to talk, and we talked for like an hour. And Kevin Day said to me, "Oh, since you work as an agent, do you think you can help me out?" He said, "I'm getting all these media calls about doing interviews and doing this and doing that." And he's like, "I'm overwhelmed. Can you help me?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll give you my number." I mean, he's one of the nicest guys ever. I wasn't going to say no. He's a nice guy. He's a vet. Of course, I'll help you out. And boy, I had no idea. But, like every day, So I typically became his agent for TV and appearances. And then I started working with the rest of them, Gary Voorhees and Jason Turner and the rest of them. And then we formed the group UAPX, which is how we ended up doing the movie A Tear in the Sky. And what happened was, all these producers were calling me to book them for their shows. And then eventually I got a call and they said, "Hey, why don't you just work on our show as a consultant?" And through consulting on these shows, I finally worked my way up to starting to develop and produce. So the first development I got was with Morgan Freeman and his company, Revelation, because A Tear in the Sky originally was going to be a TV show. I got a development deal for it to be a TV series, but COVID hit, and that just killed it. And then we ended up getting the deal for the movie.
Yeah.
And I just continued.
Okay. Could you tell us about the movie? I think you were that I guess the interview that I brought up mistakenly earlier. I think that was part of the interview that you had.
Yeah. So the movie was once again, it was when we had the group I was involved with. I'm not in the member anymore, neither is Kevin. It was called UAPX, and so the Nimitz encounter, which was in 2000, my brain's not working. 2004, I think it was, is when the USS Nimitz and Princeton were out by Catalina and Guadalupe Island, out in the Pacific, and they encountered what is now known as the Tic Tac UFOs, which was the big story that came out in the Post in 2017. And so we went back out there with a bunch of scientists and scientific equipment to see if we can capture any evidence of what they saw. And we went out there with a film crew and we filmed the whole thing for a week. And that's the movie. And William Shatner's in it. Michio Kaku is in it. And Travis Taylor from Skinwalker Ranch. There's a whole bunch of people in it.
Oh, so you met all these people and talked to them? All the
I didn't meet Travis, but I've known William Shatner for years before the movie.
Yeah. Well, he's about 94 now, I think, and he's still going.
Yeah. I've worked on The Unexplained, and I know him from my Comic-Con days.
Okay. And so when you get involved in these projects, this is your bread and butter, right? I mean, you're a professional, you're making money at this, right?
Yeah, I'm making money, but I'm not living in a mansion yet.
You just know a lot of rich people.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's about like me. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no money in UFOs and actually in podcasts unless you have a big name and you get up there and you can say anything you want, and you can surpass any gold.
Yeah. I mean, I've been developing shows for years, but I just need to get one greenlit and then I'll be set. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
Is there a demand for UFO movies and ET movies, David?
There is at times, At times there is. Right now, I just got hired to executive produce a scripted series, a regular TV series. It's kind of like Jason Bourne or the X-Files meets Jason Bourne.
Mhm.
We have hopefully we have a press release coming out in Deadline and Hollywood Reporter soon. We have a great cast of consultants. I'm not going to name them right now, but you'd recognize the names of some of the top researchers and journalists in the UFO community. Yeah, so it's called Shadow State. So look for that. You'll be hearing about that very soon.
How do they pick their consultants, David? Do they have to have, how about ET experiencers and UFO experiencers? Do they
I
have,
picked them.
you pick them? Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah,
And
I chose them.
now what kind of stories are you looking for when you look at these people, David?
Well, no, they're not experiencers. They're people that that have been working in the field.
Okay. They're the talking head or the the journalists, like you say.
Correct. Journalists and just people, former military, that type of thing.
Oh, okay. CIA.
Intelligence, that type. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess on every movie set, there's probably a government guy sitting around and watching things go on, right, David?
Sure. I mean, when you're portraying characters that are in the military or whatever, you want to get things right. Every movie they do that.
Yeah, and and they say, well, cut.
Especially when so the movie or the series, we're doing it like the main character is going to be a journalist who is like a Ross Coulthart kind of character, a journalist that's trying to get the truth out there. He knows the truth, but he's trying to get the truth out there. So you can get the idea of just from that of what the show is going to be about.
Okay.
It's like a Fox Mulder, but he's a journalist.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So,
but it's going to be based off of what's happening now with like David Grush. It's going to be a David Grush character. There's going to be, a Lou Elizondo character. All of what's happening right now. It's going to be in the show.
Yeah, Lou Alexandro. He's put out some more recent information on UFO.
Yeah, I haven't read it. Imminent. Yeah, I haven't read it.
He actually said in an interview, and I saw the interview. He was talking about that most of the UFOs and ETs are coming from here. They're ground based. They're under the ground.
I think that they're from here. Yeah. I think they've always been here. I'm convinced they live I think they live underwater and under the ground.
Right. I think so too. I think there are some coming in and out because
I think it's dimensional. I don't think they're coming from space, or we'd see them. Yeah. And let me just say this: like, let's take the Zimbabwe case with the kids, right?
Yeah.
An example, one of many cases with children. Why would they show kids the apocalypse or the Earth being destroyed? Why would they care unless they lived here? Why would they be buzzing nuclear sites unless they cared about the Earth so much? Why do they care about the Earth so much? Because they live here. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, there's another theory on that too. They've been with us for 60,000 years. You talk about the Anunnaki, the Pleiades, the tall whites.
Right.
They've been grooming. Right. They've been grooming us. And
but what I'm saying is, why would they care if we destroy the Earth unless they live here? Like, if they didn't live here, who cares? Blow it up. We're going to go home.
Unless they don't want their laboratory messed up. That's.
But they start another one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's a lot of questions of that. That's an interesting point. I haven't heard that angle of it. It's an interesting point that they're living here and they don't want you to mess up.
What I heard was that, and I'm not saying I believe it or it's true. I heard that 2027 there's supposed to be an asteroid coming, and the reason they're disclosing this is because that they're going to show themselves and help us with their technology to stop this asteroid from destroying the Earth, because they live here too. And if they don't help us, they're done. And they need to show themselves to stop this thing.
Yeah. Either that or they move to get a U-Haul and take off out. That's very interesting. I've never thought of that plan.
And the person that told me, I mean, if 2027 comes and it doesn't happen, like I'm gonna lose a lot of faith in this person.
Yeah, Louis Alessandro, he's the one who mentioned that they're from here, but there's also videos, and I got a buddy, Dr. Robert Shipe. I don't know if you heard of him. He lives in San Francisco, and he's got pictures of these little called dragons. They're only about 2 inches long, and they look like a brass bullet kind of, but they're actually drones that check on everything that flies. It'll go up, and they travel 1,200 miles. You can't really see them unless you have a slow-mo.
They're from here?
Yeah, from San Francisco and all around the world. And
These drones are?
yeah, they're little bitty things. And
what are they like really called? I want to see one.
They're called, well, Dr. Robert Shipe. You can look him up and look up dragons. And I've had him on my show several times, and we've actually showed videos of those dragons. And they're little, like 2-inch thing. They kind of stretch out a little longer when they're in action, and they go by aircraft real quick. I guess they can actually check out whatever they're going by in an instant, and report it back to their headquarters, wherever. But
Flying dragons on Marina Del Rey.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
There's a video, but there's no. I'll have to watch it later.
An interesting story that used to mention to Uri Geller. He's kind of a friend of mine. We talked together, and I've had him on my show about 3-4 years ago. And he mentioned the gift that John Lennon got. And
yeah, I know that story. Grant Cameron tells that story a lot.
Yeah.
And then he gave that to Yuri, didn't
he? Yes, he did.
Yeah. It's like with the little egg thing or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. That's the dragon.
Wait a minute.
Yep. It's a deactivated dragon.
But how could it look like an egg?
Well, he calls them dragons because people think as dragonflies. So he nicknamed them dragons.
But wait a minute. If they look like a dragon, why would John Lennon say it's an egg?
But no, they don't look like a. People say they look like a dragon because actually what comes off the side of them is plasma, and behind them is plasma. They actually get charged up by electricity. They go by electrical wires and they suck up the energy.
And they're ours.
No, they're
okay. That's what I asked you before. Are they ours?
No, they're alien. They're ET.
Okay.
They're ET stuff, and this is why the ETs give John Lennon that little dragon, or that's yeah. If you look up on Dr. Shipe's, you might see a picture of the dragon, or the little, looks like a brass long bullet.
Oh, I'm gonna look for it. Trust me, I'm not gonna stop till I see it after this.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very interesting story, and it'd be nice for you maybe to cover that with Dr. Shipe.
Yeah.
I can.
That's something I really want to look into for sure.
Yeah, I can hook you up with the information about Dr. Shipe and go into that. But yeah, so it's real interesting what he's found out, and he has a special camera that he invented. He's actually a pharmacist, and he had a couple of inventions, and he got rich off of male pharmaceutical drugs. He's the one who started the male pharmaceutical drug in the mail. So,
oh wow!
Yeah, he started that. So that's
where was he before I got sober? Where was he about 15 years ago?
he was a Hollywood pharmacist.
Oh man, that would have been perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a Hollywood pharmacist, and he knew a lot of the stars.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, on Star Trek, he was invited into the studio, and he said that studio, the Star Trek, where they have the ship and everything, he said it was really small.
Yeah, it's on Paramount.
No, it's really small. So Dr. Shipe is an interesting guy, very smart guy, and he's got these videos in which if you go back on some of my old shows, you'll see those videos that he showed. So yeah, he's got
videos of them.
Oh yeah, he's got lots of videos, close up.
Does he have a YouTube channel or anything?
Yes, you can look him up. Just look up Dr. Robert Shipe. And I'm giving him a plug out now, and I think you'll be interested in this. So yeah, he's been watching these things for some time, and he's figured them out. He actually has shown the U.S. Air Force. He's taken those films and showed some of the U.S. Air Force people, and he's trying to get people or the military to get involved. The police and some of the military and the Coast Guard, they are flying around looking for these things at Maria del Rio, and
No, he doesn't have a channel.
yeah, so that's what they do is they're trying to catch these things, and they actually did shoot down one. From what I heard, that's what Dr. Robert Scheich was saying. They shot one down, and so they picked it back up. The ETs did and revitalized it, and it went on. But interesting, very interesting, and some of the things you find out from some of these top stars and these people that are in the know, they know a lot more than us. Like we mentioned, Steven Spielberg. I would imagine he got a lot of his ideas, and you probably know this too, David. He got a lot of his ideas from rubbing shoulders with people who know things.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, there's that story about him at the White House. You know what I mean?
No.
Huh?
So yeah, you probably have met people. So you've been around some people, and
I mean, stuff that I hear though is from people in the UFO community. Nobody famous or anything like that.
Okay. All right.
So actually, I have learned some things from producers that work on UFO shows, but nothing major.
Yeah. Okay. Ancient Aliens is pretty well scripted, I believe, from what I understand. From
No.
the guests that are on there.
Scripted? No. What do you mean?
Well, when you get on there and you make a report about something, like you have Grant Cameron, or you have Dolan, or any of those guys on there, you follow a script, and they tell you
pretty much what they'll do is, like, let's say you're going to be talking about camels. They'll just give you research on the camel before you go the next day to talk about it. That's really it. I mean, they don't tell you what to say word for word.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've heard some of that, and they said, well, some of that stuff, I was told to say, and not, it wasn't coming from, them in particular.
No, but what they will do though is they will edit things that they might not. You know what I mean? They will edit things that you might not have wanted them to say that way. They'll do that stuff.
Okay. Knowing some of these abductees or contactees, David, what are some of have you heard any unusual real abduction stories from any of these people?
So one thing that I've noticed is that abductions aren't really happening the way that they used to. I was trying to find people that have had a typical, like, negative gray experience, a typical experience where they're abducted. They're horrified. They're taken out of their bed by grays in the middle of the night. They're getting implanted against their will. Typical, like, Carla Turner type experience, and totally negative. Haven't really found anybody like that. At least it's come out publicly. That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't really hear that anymore. And I mentioned this in an interview, and like a couple of days later, I got a message on Twitter, a direct message from somebody that I know, and they're like, "Yeah, I heard you mention this in an interview, and this is somebody that I know and I trust." And they're like, "I spoke to somebody that works in intelligence, and they also noticed the same thing." So,
well, what they do is they knock you out. I mean,
no, I get that, but if that were the case, unless they corrected something, nobody would ever remember.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why a lot of the memories are lost. I can tell you a story of mine in 95. Well, I saw my first UFO when I was only 14 years old in 1963, but I've seen 6 up close UFOs. I've actually met 3 ETs consciously awake. And the one that I met in 95, it was by my bedside. It come around my bedside, and I was awake.
What were they? What do they look like?
It was a 3.5 foot green, kind of gray green. It was dark in the room because my ex-wife liked it dark in that bedroom, and so I thought it was actually my adopted daughter coming through the room to get to the master bathroom in order to get some aspirins because of her headaches. So I thought it was her, and I put my chin in my palm of my hand. I looked. I saw a dark shadow move past the dresser mirror, and then it come around my side of the bed, and I changed my chin into this left hand, and I looked, and here stood about a 3.5 foot little ugly critter. He had big eyes. He didn't have the black shades on because I guess it was dark in the room, so he didn't need that. He had the big white, pupils and everything, and he had he had a really a lot of wrinkles. You can take a credit card through him. Is how deep they look to me. And his nose just had two little nose holes, and he had a little bitty puckered mouth, and that was about it. Well, when I saw this thing, I looked at it for about 5 or 6 seconds, and had fear run through me first, and then I just passed out. So he actually put me out. So I don't remember what happened after that. I've had some lucid dreams. Maybe that kind of brought it back. And
Mhm.
lucid dreams are actually things that is playing back in your mind that's something that really happened. When you're able to touch something or see something or even talk in a dream, that really happened to you, and it's just a memory. But they control our consciousness. That's what you're getting to. They can actually abduct us without even taking us. They can retrieve our memory, our frequencies. They can retrieve semen. They can retrieve eggs, from women. So this is how they do the hybrid program. So there is a lot of different ways they can actually abduct you. And I say that a bedside abduction with this little gray was doing. He probably took some samples of DNA from me, and he probably read all my memory and took it in. And I don't know if I had two implants, but I don't know if he implanted me with anything, because some of the implants you can't really find. And I got one in my hand, I think now, but I had two that I took out. But
Do you still have them?
I got pictures of the second one that I took out of my leg back in.
What'd you do with it?
I got well, it dissolved.
Yeah.
The second one dissolved, and the first one, my mom made me throw it away. It was after my first sighting when I was 14 years old. It was in my left testicle, and there was a red line cut, like a laser line cut. I pushed it out.
Ow! Don't tell me that.
It didn't bleed, didn't hurt, and it didn't bleed.
Ugh.
It came right out, and it looked like a little Advil pill, and then it was ash color, light, and then it turned darker as the air hit it. I showed my mom, and she said, "That's just an ingrown hair." I said, "No, Mom." I said, "No." She looked at me. I said, "There's a red line cut in my testicle." I said, "I took it back out of that red line. That it just popped right out, and it didn't bleed." She still told me to throw it away. She looked like she was shocked after I told her that. But that's the different ways they have to abduct. They're sent to the bedside,
Yeah.
and they can take you up in a craft, and then
Physically and like astral, pretty much.
yeah, and also they freeze. They can.
Right.
I've had 6 freezing sessions within between 2017 and 2022, between August 11th and August 14th. I had freezing set where my body was totally frozen, arms were crossed in front of me like I was laying in a coffin, and I was the whole bed was shaking. My wife did not wake up, and she must have been knocked out because she would hear her cell phone land on the carpet,
And that one you remember.
Oh yeah, I remember. I woke
So
up.
it's like, why wouldn't they like make you not remember that?
Well, I don't remember where they took me, but I had a scientist who told me that what they did is they took you to another dimension. They took your essence, your consciousness, and your
But it's like, I wonder why they make you not remember stuff and then they make you remember that. It's weird.
Well, no, it was conscious when I woke up. I was frozen.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
saying it didn't happen. It's like, why do they do these things? It's weird.
Yeah, well, I was I guess an involuntary astral projection, and all my energy was gone. So my body's energy was really low, and that's why I was so cold.
Too bad you can't play the YouTube, because I've got one of my sightings on my YouTube channel. I got it on film.
Yeah, it's 35 minutes long, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it's like 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, oh, you mean the one with the trailer that we?
No, I had a UFO sighting with my mom, and I filmed it. It's on my YouTube channel, but
Okay.
unfortunately, you can't play it because you can't. Right?
Well, I didn't dig it up. I didn't know that was. I thought we just.
It doesn't matter because you can't play it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
yeah. But the one that I saw a glowing orb, and then it blinked out, and then when it came back, my mom could see it, and I couldn't for like the first minute.
Right.
And it was right there, and she could see it, I couldn't see it, and then all of a sudden I was able to see it. It was weird.
What color was it? Orange?
No, it was like gold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it blanked out again.
Okay, so you don't think there was any contact between you and your grandmother, or?
My mom.
No, okay. You don't think there's any contact made?
No. My sister was inside the house the entire time.
But no, I guess these abduction stories they're all over the place. They're all different kinds. And I guess that actually different ETs are doing different abductions. And I heard this thing about Eisenhower. I guess Laura Eisenhower is the granddaughter of President Eisenhower, who met with aliens back in the 50s.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah. He was alleged. He supposedly went to the dentist, he said. And yeah, I know the whole story.
Yeah, he was gone. Yeah, there's that Desert Palms, whatever.
Yeah, supposedly he said he was going to the dentist, and he went and met with them, and there was an agreement made where they were supposed to take a certain number, but they broke the agreement and were taking too many people, and that's why yeah.
So actually, there's exchanging us as lab rats for technology, right?
For technology, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's.
But they started taking way more people than they were supposed to.
Mm-hmm. So don't trust those darn ETs, huh?
Nope.
Do you think
I was actually developing a show for a production company that was people that wanted to have implants removed on camera, but I couldn't find the people.
Yeah, that doctor, what was his name?
Roger Lear.
Yeah, Roger Lear.
Yeah, too bad he's gone. He was amazing.
Yeah, and
the turkey UFO, and I think that thing's incredible.
Yeah, that I saw that. That is pretty neat.
I think that's real for sure, man. Out of any video I've seen of a UFO, I think that's real.
Yeah, I think so too. I always enjoy watching that when they get those close-ups and they focus it in, and you see those
two pilots. Yeah.
They look like
they're like, hey guys.
Yeah, they look like little grays, but
yeah.
Not all grays look like these really shiny, slick grays that they
look more like mantids almost. The eyes look really big.
There is mantis,
Yeah.
Now there's that race type. Okay, let me talk to you about the bad ones. They say the bad ones, and which might want this planet blown up, are the reptilians that live underground. What have you heard about that, David? Have you heard any slants on that?
I mean, I know. I mean, I've never really talked to anybody that's, I know stories about them. I've heard a lot about Pamela Stonebrook, from the 90s, who said that she was having sex with one regularly. She enjoyed it. She had it like a relationship. You can go back on Art Bell, listen to a couple episodes she did. Obviously, I've heard all the David Icke stories that he thinks that the whole English bloodline, the royal family, are reptilians. I've heard stories about there's underground cities or underground tunnels underneath Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Which are probably true. There probably are a lot of tunnels under LA that there's reptilians living under there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm on the fence.
Yeah. You talked about some of these really rich families, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, and they have control of things. Do you think the reptilians, the aliens, have control on top of them? I mean, you're talking about a hierarchy.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen any evidence of it.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Yeah, I kind of think that we're under some kind of a control today. It's a good against evil that we're fighting in right now.
I've heard so many things, man, that I've heard that I don't even know if I should even tell this story, man. I heard that that it has a lot to do with there's one family, ancient family, that I shouldn't say ancient family, ancient bloodline, that is protecting hidden technology, like technology that built the pyramids. And there's another family that wants to get it to the public. And they're the people that are behind, that really run the world, run the government. There's two factions of it, and they have all this secret technology. And one family wants to bring it out, and one family is like, no, we're not giving it out, because if we do that, there goes oil, there goes all of our money. We're going to be, that's it. And that has a lot to do with all this stuff that's going on with everything.
Okay, what about that's disclosure you're talking about then?
Well, yeah, with everything, it has a lot to do with technology and free energy.
Okay. I heard that it's not the Pentagon, the military, or our politician leaders that want to stop disclosure. What's holding disclosure back are the elites, like you're talking about. They're holding it back. And my thinking on that is they don't want us to know the technology that they've learned and kept from us from hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years in our history. They don't want us to know the technology they know, because they might be using it against us.
Could be that. It could be, just all the lies that they've told. If it is true, if abductions are real, I mean, they got a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I know they're true because I've been abducted. I've been almost electrocuted several times.
But I'm talking about the rest of the public.
Yeah, there's 50% that really have a hard time.
I mean, even if they literally brought a live alien on TV, everybody would be like, that's fake. That's AI.
AI or CGI.
That's what makes me laugh when people are like, yeah, Project Bluebeam, man. They're going to do Project Bluebeam. If they did Project Bluebeam, who's going to believe it? Nobody.
No, I don't know if that's ever going to fly anymore. And I had
no way, man.
I had a scientist explain that to me. Not that theory, but he explained how they come about in, producing that Project Bluebeam. They can do it. They can.
How could they do that all over the world at once?
Well, they'd have to set up different stations, wouldn't they?
It'd be like, no way, man.
Yeah, but I think there's so many lies out there, so much disinformation, and I don't know who's spreading, why they're doing it, but they're very good at doing it.
I don't know what to believe anymore, man.
No, I don't either. I don't like watching the news. I don't like watching political things. I don't
even like Twitter anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And Twitter, is getting to be, you get a lot of scammers on Twitter now. It's, it's just, there's just, almost every other person on there is trying to scam for something. So there's a lot of scams everywhere, and people are just going crazy about, trying to make a fast buck or lie.
I'm talking about just like UFO Twitter in general. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. All right.
It's like a bloodbath.
Yeah, it's hard for people to believe. It's just like me. I've had so many experiences. Linda Moulton Hall told me one time, she interviewed me, and she told me she said, you're going to be in a different space, because you've had several experiences, and some people only have one, maybe two experiences. And after they explain those, sometimes they're more believable. But if you have more than a couple experiences, people start saying, okay, that's far enough, they have a hard time believing it. But if you read my book, what do they want? You're going to see all those experiences that I had. And I can tell you right now, I'm not lying. This is not disinformation. This is actual experiences. And I'm spooked about all that.
Linda almost gave my mother a heart attack.
Really?
When COVID hit, I was on the phone with Linda. This is when it first started. And we were on the phone, and she starts telling me about COVID, and I put it on speaker, and I was with my mom, and she's telling me like, it's the end of the world. I'm talking to these microbiologists, and it's all over, and there's people dead in the streets, and my mom's like, oh my God. And it really wasn't as like that. It didn't turn out that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I had to shut the speaker off.
If you ever watch TikTok, you go through that, you'll find some of these extremists. These guys get on there and they say, okay, this is the end of the world. We just had a nuclear, flights over the US, they got their nuclear bombers out, and they're going around the US. These are just typical routine training missions, and this guy's making it look like it's going to be a world war. So yeah, it's really weird. I had a guy, Nigel, what was his name? Nigel, it's W. I'll think of the name. It's just, I'm getting old. I'm getting old, David. Nigel Watson. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's what I was going to say that, but I
Yeah.
was like,
I knew a Watson, when I was a kid, Charlie Watson. So that's why the name was hanging on me. But he was telling me about the UFOs in World War One, and
Foo Fighters.
yeah, well, the Foo Fighters were
Well, before the Foo, I'm talking before Ghost Rockets.
yeah. But in 2010, in 1910, he talked about there was lights in the sky that people were wondering, what was going on, and they thought they were dirigibles, that the Germans made, and
Right.
they thought they were going to be bombed. Then this is early on, 1910, and of course, 1914 to 1918, the war was going on, and then they had the dirigibles, and they had
Except for the mystery airships of the 1890s.
yeah, right. Right. So he was saying it goes way back, but I think it goes back further than that. We're talking through history, biblical history.
Well, yeah, UFOs, but the airships, I think, were like 1800s.
Right. Yeah.
Like Aurora and whatever, NIMS, and Walter Bosley writes a lot about that.
Yeah. But no, it's very interesting. You look back on history and you see all these drawings
all the Renaissance paintings, all that.
Yeah, they showed a spaceship or
the Nuremberg, is it? That was the Nuremberg painting?
Yeah.
Is it Nuremberg? Yeah, I think so.
No, but no, it's so we've been lied to. We talk about Eisenhower a while ago, but we've been lied to for thousands and thousands of years. The elites and even the Egyptian, the high priest, they kept secrets from their people, and actually the reptilians, who were the ETs in charge, they wanted the high priest to talk to the people and meet the people. They didn't want to be around the people, the human. So they had the high priest represent them to the people. So they hid the secrets, and you couldn't learn any secrets unless you were a high priest. So there's your top families, your rich families, the cabal. They know all the secrets. So
that's a new one. Never heard that one.
But that's why you have these high priests and elites that represent. Well, let's take it even closer. Let's take it to the Catholic Church and the Pope.
Oh man,
they know secrets. If you want to know about UFOs, maybe you should go there and research those people. They're the I guess the Pope's commission or whatever. They know a lot about that. They said that you're going to see a lot of supernatural things now. That's what he said. People are going to start seeing the supernatural things.
That has another lot to do with disclosure,
Yeah. So I think the Pope and the King, England, and the royals around the world, and the elites, like you're talking about, I think they have the control. If we only knew what they knew, and they can't.
Yeah, that has a lot to do, with why ATIP was shut down, was because there's allegedly two factions in the Pentagon. There was one faction that wanted to weaponize the phenomenon, and there was another faction of fundamentalists who were like, stop playing with this stuff because you're going to usher in the apocalypse. You're going to summon Satan, and yeah.
So okay, I guess we'll close off the show. What about do you have anything else to say, final things of what you're going to be doing and what's your future going to be like with this?
Hopefully soon, working on season 2 of Alien Encounters, and working on that. Hope the new show, Shadow State, still our scripted show. Got a few things developing, possibly a cryptid series, and that's it.
Okay. And it's on YouTube. Do you have any? Are there the names of your YouTube channel? Is it on there?
My YouTube channel, it's David H. Altman, same as my Twitter. It's at David H. Altman. Facebook, David H. Altman. Instagram, which I barely use, is David Henry Altman.
Okay. It's I'll be looking, at that one video you're talking about.
Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel.
And I can't crack the link code to YouTube. I had somebody write me, a guest write me, and they said that they wanted to get, they wanted to.
Oh, why don't you post the link for the trailer in the description?
I will.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll do that.
There you go.
Oh, yeah,
Anybody wants to see it.
No, I usually do that anyway on
Yeah.
that you have, but I will post those links, and I'll probably post. I guess there's a couple of links. So you got an interview, and you also have that trailer, and we'll probably post.
Nah, you don't have to post the interview in there. Just post the trailer.
All right, we'll do that. My guest, David Altman, thank you for dropping in, and
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
telling
it.
us about rubbing elbows with those big shots. And
Yeah.
I always like to find out what they have to talk about, what they say. But you've been listening to Dave Emmons and A Strange Reality. And thank you again, David, for a good show. Thank you.